So it doesn't also send a signal of we feel your pain, we understand what is currently going on? Because, I mean, if ordinary Nigerians complain about it, the chances might be high that people will say, oh, no, they're members of opposition who are trying to discredit the government or something like that. But when, you know, even people in government or people who are related to people in government say things like that, shouldn't it mean that, oh, we ourselves experience things like that and we understand precisely what you might be going through?
Well, I would agree, even though there could be a counter-argument. Because I think in the report she said that she had to go to a private hospital that is 100% owned by a foreigner. So the counter-argument will be that if that's our pain and you're feeling it, then from Villa, the next bus stop should be the National Hospital or any of the government hospitals to go and see firsthand probably a situation worse than what is in the Villa, because what is in the Villa is believed to be under the watchful eyes of the presidency. So there could be a counter-argument. But I agree with the fact that probably that is what it means. But you see, that is what is called privilege. In my opinion, if you ask me, there is elephant in the room. In the past few months, I looked at crises surrounding the presidency. Whether you look at the statement of the wife, whether you look at interministerial differences, whether you look at other cabinet members' misbehavior, whether you look at the report that at a time the chief of staff wanted to subvert the acting president when the president was out of the country, whether you look at the report of NIA and SGF, which for now we have not heard any official communication and decision in respect of that. Now, when you look at everything here, I try to sit down and analyze. And to me, the elephant in the room, I must be honest with you without no prejudice, is the chief of staff of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And if you allow me, I will tell you the power, the position, and the responsibility of the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff, as you can see in other climes, is the highest ranking staffer in the Aso Villa. He controls the flow of traffic. You recall that Ibe Kachiku complained about not having access to the President. It's only the Chief of Staff that finally sets schedule for the President to see whoever. Sometimes, because of the powers of the Chief of Staff, you don't have to see the President, he will address your problem, because Chief of Staff's role is to control the White. He's like the governor of the Aso Villa, to settle dispute privately, to control the flow of information, to ensure that the President's interest is represented, to ensure that there is a proper communication and understanding and collaboration between the President, his agenda, and the governors. If you go to other climes like Argentina, Brazil, the Chief of Staff is as powerful as a minister. He's a cabinet member. He sits in the cabinet. If you go to the United Kingdom, he's the third most powerful person in the United Kingdom. After the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of Exchequer, it's the Chief of Staff. If you go to America, the Chief of Staff is that powerful. And so anything that goes wrong with regards to the flow of information and flow of communication of what the President does is traceable to him. Now, all these problems that have been identified and complained about in the past how many months are traceable to the Chief of Staff. And that is why people like us, without prejudice, say that the President has, at this point, has got to do a cabinet rejigging. But not just the ministers. The President will need to change aides. He needs to change advisors. He needs to change the Chief of Staff. He needs to change people in strategic position. Now, the President is about 70-something years old.
He needs to change him, not confront him as to why is it that all of this information is not coming to me, or shouldn't he also be asking him questions?
You see, my perspective is different, because if you're confronting someone to get answers, how many answers are you going to get? We just narrated a lot of problems traceable to him. The best thing is to get him off the place. You see, in Nigeria, we always have this tradition that once somebody is appointed by the government, he sits there as though it's an inheritance. It's a privilege. The Aso Villa is a rented place. The people, the landlords of Aso Villa are the Nigerian people.
Are you also suggesting that perhaps the President's wife does not have access to him and as such has to complain in public as to what she's also observing?
No, I believe that as a wife, she has access to him because they see at home. There's even a picture they were together. But it is one thing to meet your husband, discuss with your husband about concerns. It's another thing to communicate official matters to him, because by our law and from the way governance is run in the country, it still will have to be routed through the chief of staff.